The A Quiet Place franchise introduced us to the Death Angels, an invasive alien species that crash-landed on Earth, hitchhiking on meteors, and have been killing humans ever since. The terrifying thing about these predators is that they're triggered by the slightest of sounds, and hence one can imagine the murderous rampage they go on in a place like New York City. The horrific details of Death Angel attacks are shown in the recently released movie A Quiet Place Day 1, which serves as a prequel to John Krasinski's A Quiet Place films. The franchise has a tendency to reveal crucial physiological details about the Death Angels one movie at a time. For example, A Quiet Place 2 told us that the Death Angels can't swim, and now this one tells us that they've brought their own food source from space. Scary, right? Be warned, people, our world is being threatened by extraterrestrial species, and here's everything you need to know about these alien killers. So let's get going. But before we get started with the video, we have a small request for you. If you like our content, subscribe to us and like the video. It might just be a simple click for you, but it means a lot to us. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get started. Who are the Death Angels? What are their origins? The aliens in A Quiet Place franchise are known as Death Angels. They're blind, extraterrestrial creatures with hypersensitive hearing abilities. They're so strong and durable that they survived a long interstellar journey on meteors. The Death Angels are extremely aggressive towards any living species, and started attacking life on Earth within minutes of their arrival on our planet. John Krasinski explains that these evolutionary species originated on a lightless planet, with harsh conditions deep in the galaxy. Over time, they learned to adapt to their dark surroundings through echolocation, and perhaps even became the apex predators on their planet. Thus, their resilient biology and predatory behavior is a result of generations of evolution on the hellish planet. Sometime in the past, their planet got destroyed and these creatures traveled through space in meteors and arrived on Earth. Several newspaper cuttings and article headlines shown in A Quiet Place 2 revealed that these meteors landed in Mexico, but eventually it was learned that several of the meteor fragments also dropped into locations across New York and Shanghai. There may be more alien-infected places around the globe, but these are the ones we know so far. Within a short span of their invasion, the Death Angels wiped out most of humanity, causing society to collapse. The latest Quiet Place movie, which is a spin-off, unveils what happened in New York on day one of the alien attacks. New York City is put on lockdown, and the bridges connecting to Manhattan are bombed and destroyed. The government learns that these creatures cannot swim, and hence they deploy several boats to evacuate people from Manhattan. But the noise that is created during the boarding attracts the Death Angels to the harbors, and only 2 boats are able to make it out of Manhattan. The survivors on these boats eventually set up a colony in a deserted island near New York, and in the second movie, this island gets attacked by a stray Death Angel that somehow drifted away to the island on a boat. The first 2 Quiet Place movies track the story of the Abbott family, and we learn a lot about these alien creatures through the Abbott family's research and survival strategies. How did the Death Angels survive the journey from their lightless planet to Earth? One theory is that their planet got destroyed. The Death Angels survived on fragments of their homeworld, which came hurling through deep space and eventually entered Earth's atmosphere. So the meteor shower that was witnessed by many was actually fragments of their home planet. As to how they survived the extensive journey from deep space to Earth, it's theorized that these species are capable of hibernation. Fans speculate that the aliens went into some sort of cryosleep, embedded within the planet fragments, and woke up immediately after landing, from the sheer blast force and the noise. The Death Angels are not sapient species, as revealed by John Krasinski, and hence, it's unlikely that they mastered interstellar travel. So the only other option is that they survived the destruction of their planet by latching onto the fragments, and they made it through the vacuum of space by remaining dormant inside the asteroid fragments, which then traveled light years through the galaxy to destination Earth. What's the composition of a Death Angel exoskeleton, and how does it provide protection against physical attacks? The alien's home planet's gravity was exponentially higher than that of Earth. To survive the enhanced gravity and the harsh conditions, the Death Angels developed an extremely hardened exterior, an armor-like skeleton. Thus, they come with an impenetrable shell-like skin that covers their entire body. The shell is thick by an inch or so, and is completely immune to conventional weaponry such as guns, bombs, and even military-grade bullets and missiles. This explains why the military forces didn't stand a chance against these monsters. Because of their hardened exterior, the Death Angels fear no creature on Earth. These lean and hardy predators are taller than humans by a few feet, measuring something around 6 to 9 feet tall. In appearance, the Death Angels look like bipedal creatures with abnormally long forelimbs. Hence, they crawl on all fours, but are also capable of standing upright. They have the body posture of a gorilla and a bat combined. All of their 4 limbs are digitigrade, but they prefer to walk on knuckles. Instead of fingers, the Death Angels have remarkably sharp crab-like claws, which are used for slashing and impaling prey. While the forelimbs come with 3 such claws, the hind limbs are restricted to just 1. Because of their lean structure and elongated limbs, the Death Angels can leap across long distances and run incredibly fast, clocking a speed of up to 300 miles per hour. Owing to their clawed fingers, the Death Angels can pierce through glass, metal, and concrete, and hence easily scale high walls. They can also remain perched on building walls like spiders, waiting for their next prey. Their skeletal bodies come with a sightless spherical head, which is protected by a fragmented shell, which opens up at both the front and the back, like a blooming flower, but only when necessary. The Death Angels have rows of menacing teeth lined up around their enormous jaws, something that reminds one of another alien species, venom. The absence of any visible nose leaves us wondering whether these Death Angels come with olfactory systems. The Death Angels also have uneven ridges jutting out from their backs, perhaps for additional shielding and protection. What sensory abilities do Death Angels possess, especially in the absence of functional eyesight? Originating on a lightless planet, the Death Angels became experts at echolocation. That's the detection of objects and prey through reflected sound. The absence of eyes was made up for with hypersensitive ears. They developed an extremely enhanced sense of hearing that enabled them to track their prey without actually seeing them. These evolutionary species have ears on the sides of their mouth. Unlike the tough exterior, the ears are made of soft, vulnerable tissue or bones, kind of like cartilage, which are shaped like a spiraling maze. In A Quiet Place, Day 1, the second protagonist, Eric, catches a detailed glimpse of the creature's hearing organ when he accidentally ventures into their lair. It's a throbbing mechanism that catches the slightest of sounds, and too many at a time. Thus, these spiral ears are always overworking, especially in locations like Manhattan, which emits an average of 90 decibels of sound on a regular basis. That's the equivalent of a scream. This might also mean that upon landing on Earth, the Death Angels must have entered into a perpetual state of stress from all the noise, which further triggered their predatory behavior. This theory sort of explains their murderous spree. Sound is their primary source of sense, and assuming that there may have been very little sound in space, the environment on Earth must be very distressing for them. For their behavior, it seems that the Death Angels are able to single out particular sound sources and are not so triggered by uniform noise, such as the sound of a water fountain, or rain splattering, or even a generator motor. The protagonists Sam and Eric were able to drown their voices when it was raining, and even time their screams with the thunder. But when they toppled over a bookstand, or when the male nurse Reuben tore his shirt on the generator motor, the Death Angels were quick to attack their prey. What is the purpose and function of the Death Angels' facial plates, which open and close during hunting? Like the rest of their body, their head too comes with an impenetrable shell in the form of faceplates. Thus, the primary function of the facial plates is protection. Behind the crusted plates, the Death Angels have a sinewy face, made up of soft, vulnerable tissues. Also, their hypersensitive ears are located behind their faceplates. Thus, the plates protect the sensitive ears from damage, which is the only organ that helps them maneuver, gauge the surroundings, and detect danger. The protective faceplates make it extremely difficult to attack their softer, inner tissue, thus making these creatures almost unkillable. In addition to shielding their vulnerable face organs, the faceplates also serve a crucial purpose. By opening the plates, a Death Angel can better detect sound waves and track the faintest of noises, allowing it to locate its prey with precision. The plates likely serve to amplify sound, making the creature's hearing even more acute. The Death Angels relax their faceplates when they're required to detect a particular source of noise, amidst a ruckus. Unfurling the plates also serves as an intimidation move, as it makes these predators look all the more deathly and paralyzes the victims in fear. There's another theory about the faceplates, and that is, because of the hardened shell around their body, the Death Angels might need a way to dissipate body heat, and they do that by unfurling their faceplates, which reveals their interior tissue and helps the body to cool down, especially after physically stressful activities such as hunting. Why do Death Angels kill humans but not eat them? What do they do with human corpses? As is tradition, the Quiet Place film franchise reveals one crucial detail per movie about these creepily mysterious Death Angels. And the high point of Day 1 was when Frodo the cat runs away from Eric, and Eric falls into the basement of an under-construction building. What Eric sees inside turns out to be the biggest revelation about the Death Angels so far. Eric discovers that the aliens have set up a secret lair, oozing with liquid pink organic substance, one that's strewn with human corpses and some throbbing spherical life forms. These mushroom-like things are definitely alien in nature and have been brought from the Death Angels' home planet. They grow on the surface of the lair and look like an amniotic sac filled with gooey substance. It's only natural that this scene is reminiscent of a similar one from the iconic movie Aliens, in which Ripley chances upon the xenomorph eggs. And the sheer thought of the Death Angels reproducing at the heart of New York is a terrifying feeling. But soon enough, a ginormous Death Angel, probably the leader of a swarm, is seen tearing the spheres with its teeth and reveals its gooey insides before feasting on it. It It also summons other death angels to join the feast, suggesting that these life forms are a means of sustenance for the predatory aliens. In the previous films, the Abbott family has been wondering why don't the death angels eat their prey, a question that appears written on their research board, and this film solves the mystery behind the death angels killing humans and dragging them away, but never really eating them on screen. We've seen mummified human corpses lying around, but never one getting eaten by the death angels. Day One director Michael Sarnowski gives a horrifying explanation to this behavior. The death angels procure human bodies and use them as fertilizer to grow food for their alien babies. In an interview, Sarnowski says, and we quote, "I like the idea that the creatures are kind of leafcutter ants that are sort of farming, using the organic material of people to grow what is their food source, which is these kind of weird melony egg mushroom things that they sort of feed the little ones with." One reason behind this behavior could be that the death angels are not biologically compatible to ingest life forms from Earth, and hence, they decide to use them as fertilizer. Humans really are the easiest way to fertilize their alien farm, because humans are everywhere on the planet. Humans are a necessity for them, not as food, but as a source of growing their food. This leaves us with the horrific realization that humans are an indirect source of sustenance for the death angels, and hence, they will never stop hunting them. Sarnowski's statement also makes us wonder about how the death angels reproduce. The events in Day One take place on the very first day of their arrival on Earth, and hence it can be assumed that the young ones seen feeding on the organic life forms were born on their home planet, or along their journey to Earth. But how they continue to reproduce on Earth has not been documented in any of the films yet. Maybe that's going to be the big reveal of the next Quiet Place movie. Do the Death Angels show any signs of heightened intelligence? How do they communicate with each other? John Krasinski had earlier suggested that the Death Angels are not sapient in nature, and they kill purely based on instinct, kind of like mindless, vicious predators. But some scenes make us wonder whether these Death Angels have shared cognitive abilities. In A Quiet Place 2, when one Death Angel is killed, another rushes to the same spot. Also in Day One, when one creature picks up the sound of Eric bumping into a side mirror, it strays away from the rest of the swarm, and soon enough, the other Death Angels follow. Now, these instances can be explained by the fact that the entire army eventually gets alerted by the noise, or by the theory that they have some kind of shared consciousness, kind of like the Mind Flayer from Stranger Things. Also, when it comes to intelligence, the Death Angels produce a sort of chattering sound while hunting or intimidating its prey. This could also be their way of communicating with each other, alerting others about the position of a prey. In the secret lair scene, where the ginormous alien was tearing open the food pods, it lets out a chattering shriek to call forth the young ones to come and feast on the food. On the surface, it may seem that the Death Angels' cognitive abilities remain restricted to survival and hunting tactics, but these creatures are more intelligent than we give them credit for. Bringing their own food sources from their homeworld and harvesting them on Earth does suggest great signs of intelligence. Moreover, they use humans as fertilizer, which reveals their intention of eventually obliterating humanity and replacing us with their own species. Why are they afraid of water? What's their biggest weakness? Death Angels cannot swim, and that's one of their biggest weaknesses. This might make one think that the Death Angels cannot step into water at all, but that's not the case. Because of their rigid outer covering, the Death Angels are so dense that they cannot float in deep water. In A Quiet Place 2, the characters Emmett and Regan decide to jump off into the water while running away from a Death Angel, and the alien follows suit. But the Death Alien struggles to stay afloat, claws at the nearby boat for help, and drowns within seconds, revealing for the first time in the lore about its weakness. In Day One, a Death Angel chases Sam and Eric through a flooded subway tunnel. When the water level increases, Sam and Eric are able to swim through to safety, but the alien dies in the water. In fact, its wriggling body suggests that the alien dies by choking, unable to stay afloat. However, the Death Angel's willingness to step into water suggests that water doesn't act like a corrosive substance to their armor. They simply cannot stay afloat in deep water, and hence their aversion to it. Another such instance was in the first Quiet Place movie, when an alien willingly ventured into the flooded basement of the Abbott family's home. In fact, the alien dunked its head underwater for a while to hear better, because sound travels 4.3 times faster in water than in air. This shows that the aliens have some idea about water, but are inexperienced when it comes to swimming. Probably because they didn't have any of it on their home planet, so they're not harmed by touching water, but they are too heavy to sustain their weight. That's why they cannot swim from the mainland to the islands. This is precisely why the US National Guard decides to relocate survivors to the islands. Can the Death Angels die? How do you kill these alien predators? It's quite clear that the impenetrable exoskeleton of the Death Angel protects the softer, vulnerable physiology inside. And to put it simply, the Death Angels can be killed by fatally injuring their inner, softer body. In the climactic scene of the first Quiet Place movie, the Abbott family matriarch Evelyn and her deaf daughter Regan are ambushed by an alien inside their house. And it's precisely at that moment that Regan decides to take off her cochlear implant and place it on a microphone, so as to release a high-pitched feedback noise that can incapacitate the Death Angel. The alien turns out to be sensitive to the high-pitched sound, ground, and it shrieks and groans in pain, unable to function normally. As a reaction to the feedback from the cochlear implant, the Death Angel unfurls its faceplates, revealing the soft interior, and Evelyn shoots a bullet into its head and kills it for good. Regan employs the same method to incapacitate the Death Angels in the second movie. She forces her cochlear implant to release feedback, then jams her hearing aid into the microphone of a radio station. This immediately makes the Death Angel outside the radio station groan in pain and retreat. With the feedback playing on the speakers, Regan approaches the writhing Death Angel and slashes down its head with a metal rod, effectively killing it. While all this was happening on the island, back home in Millbrook, the high-pitched feedback was picked up by the radio signal. Regan's brother Marcus realizes this and plays the feedback on his portable radio, thereby incapacitating the Death Angel that was attacking him and Evelyn. With the Death Angel's faceplates completely unfurled, Marcus kills it with one shot through the head. These instances reveal that the biggest challenge in killing the Death Angels are to get them to unfurl their faceplates. And once that problem is solved, these alien baddies can be destroyed either by impaling them or by blasting their heads off. And when none of that works, our best hope is to lure the Death Angels into water bodies and wait for them to drown to their deaths. Marvelous verdict. So folks, that's it for today. We hope that this video serves as a guide to finish off the Death Angels if they ever show up at your doorstep, because A Quiet Place Day 1 makes this alien menace look very real and rather terrifying. Have you given this movie a try yet? It's definitely worth a watch. Tell us what you think about these predatory aliens in the comment section below. We'll come back with more such videos soon. Till then, stay quiet, stay alive. See you super soon. If you like our content, like it and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!